Welcome to Uptown Voices. From Harlem to the Heights to the northern tip of Inwood, we're here to celebrate our people and together seek solutions for the difficult issues we're all confronting as neighbors. Regardless of what hood you represent, we share the same goal, creating the best community we can, somewhere to enjoy, where we can build our lives and raise our children. We want to thank 181 Cabrini, located on the corner of 181st Street and Cabrini Boulevard, for its generous support for this podcast. It's your neighborhood bistro just steps away from the North Walk of the GWB. Stay tuned for a discount code that you can mention to your bartender or server the next time you visit the restaurant. We also need financial contributions from listeners like you to produce, improve, and expand our content. To contribute, please scan the QR code.
What up, everyone? It's Lev Black and Octavio Blanco. This is the latest episode of Uptown Voices, and today we have a special guest, my friend. I think he's a visionary in Uptown culture, life. He is the founder of Mass Hospitality, but he's the man behind the Uptown Night Market, the Bronx Night Market, the executive producer of the Latin Food Fest. We're going to get into all of that. But, you know, they have a lot of questions, Marco, because, you know, a lot of people are going to be losing this year, things that are very near dear to their heart. But we're going to get into that. Marco, how you doing, brother? Talk to me, man. How you been?
How you doing, my brother? After that, I got to go after this introduction. I can't beat that. That's it. That's the pinnacle of the show. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me over here. It's exciting always to be, led. I appreciate your support over
brother.
It's almost decade, you know what I mean? All
Sure.
love, man.
Love, brother.
Thank you, brother.
So how you doing? You doing good?
Doing great. You know, this is like we're at the final push of the Latin Food Fest right now, final like pre-production. This is the biggest project I've ever produced over here in New York City. It's kind of kicking my butt a little bit. I'm not going to lie, but we got this. You know what I mean? We have a great group of people and a great cause. So a combination of those two is just something that is different. You know, we brought everybody from Uptown, everybody from the Bronx to kind of help us. We at Brooklyn setting it up, and it's people that we work with for the last 7-8 years. So, we make it happen. It's Uptown in the Bronx spirit.
So what is the Latin Food Fest? Tell me, what can we expect?
Man, Latin Food Fest. I can tell you like the story what it started. You remember we started that as like another iteration of like the night market. I started the night markets, from the Bronx night market, kind of took over the city when it comes to the night market, and then pinnacle was the Uptown night market. Then we realized that most of our vendors are Latinos, immigrant, first generation Latinos, and there's a big boom. Every couple of years the city undergoes a different kind of trend of food. We have some African, we have Caribbean, and then we have like the Latino, and then people are loving that, and it's like such a gateway for culture. Food is such a gateway for culture. But that, so you have like people that are hardcore Latinos and understand the food, but then you have people exposed to like Latin food and through that to the culture, and it just kind of it's incredible. So we did the Latin night market in Dykeman, and that thing was a riot success. It's just like a different vibe. You remember that day?
Yeah, first one was amazing.
I mean, I'm saying you remember that day. You were the MC, man. I was like, what am I talking?
Yeah. It was a beautiful event.
It was such a good event. It was such a vibe, and he sent us such a message of like, this is something unique. The following year, we took it into the next level. We took it down to Pier 76 behind the Javits Center, and it exploded. We had like the massive stage and really got a ton of space. We had a great weather coming up on us, and it was like fantastic. One of that was the biggest event that I did to date in New York City, and it just felt incredible. So, of course, me, the glutton for punishment that I am, I'm like, okay, that was great, this big thing that we did. We're going to top it up right now, right? So went on and closed the deal with Industry City and bring in 5 different zones, of activity. Like we have a street festival, we have a music hall, we have a museum with art, we have a dining room, we have a courtyard. And the courtyard, full with activation, games and whatnot.
Wow.
But chancla throwing competition. I mean, listen, it's incredible. I kind of push for also the chancla avoiding competition. The team kind of next. I thought the avoiding for me remember being a kid, chancla or the rolling pin. The real sport was to avoid it from your mama's when she throws it. And then we invented this thing called lucha chancla, which is basically we're creating like a lucha libres, like a arena, and then
Mhm.
people come in with giant inflatable chanclas and they fighting and story nights like
That's
family feud and
hilarious.
stuff like that. We have a soccer kicking area. We have a we have a secondary stage where we running every day like a Bad Bunny lookalike challenge to see who looks the most like Bad Bunny, winning prizes, empanada eating contest, hot sauce eating contest. We have something that we kind of brought up. It's called a drama mama. So basically, we want to see everybody's best telenovela moves. You know, like the little thing, like the look and all that thing. Exactly. And then we brought a nice big chair, like like a abuela chair. So we want to see the drop. With the home, like when they sit down.
That's hilarious.
And the whole thing is going to be like we broke the curators of BAM in Brooklyn and Summer Stage, and they curated a full lineup, anything from Dominican, Puerto Rican, Peruvian, Mexican, Colombian,
Wow.
every kind of music that you can imagine, and any day goes like with two great headliners. Then you have a DJ setup in the outside, and you have a DJ setup inside. Structure. So we wanted to create
Wow.
something like a Latin culture Disneyland. Like you come
Wow.
over, we want
That's
you to
amazing.
spend like 4 or 5 hours and eat good food and dance and enjoy. And everywhere you got like an Instagrammable moment that we created, like set up that kind of abuela's house and abuela's kitchen and
Wow.
like a chair, like a telenovela chair, and really just kind of went all out on that thing. I mean, this is the biggest budget I've ever played with in New York City. I'm not gonna lie, but
Wow.
it's worth it. You know what I mean?
What are the dates? What are the dates, Marco?
So September 13 and 14. That's like 3 weeks from now, almost like less than 3 weeks from now. Like I'm like saying that, and I'm a little bit shaky. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And Marco, before I can't let you go, you mentioned the budget. What kind of budget are we talking about? What's the ballpark? Can you give us a number? Because I think that'll really let people know.
The entire production and all the thing is costing us north of 350. And for me, I mean, it's a lit and without getting into that thing, we wanted to build something because Led knows me. I dream big. Otherwise, what dream at all? And the vision is beyond just this festival. The vision, we already started right now. We already started about working on 2026 with national rollout in 5 cities around the country, and coming back to New York in September next year. Like, of course, Hispanic Heritage has to be in New York, trying to do like a trade show, almost like a,
Wow.
remember like one New York Food and Wine Festival, with a combination of a trade show and a food festival with activities. That's the goal. The goal is 5 days of like Latin food, culture, music, products, like everything around that, and we wanted to create something that is like, the vision is to create something that is like really magnificent. I work in this business for the last 8-9 years, and throughout this period of time, like 80% of my vendors are Latinos, first generation or immigrants, and you hear and you bond. And I travel. I was just talking to later. I travel every year to Latin America, different places, just to enjoy and learn and absorb the culture and understand it. And it's so connected. I feel so connected to that. My entire team is Latinos, by the way. It's something, and and they're like the biggest drive force behind this, because this is not work. This is like, it's a mission combined with passion. You call it whatever you want.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we love it.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because I'm really happy for the Land Food Fest. Super happy this is happening, but I'm a little sad about the Uptown Night Market, right? Like, you created something really, really special in the Uptown Night Market. You created a space, right? That, like, I told you this before, that you created something, but it took a life of its own. And Harlem was in the Uptown Night Market. Harlem came out every month, and they showed out, they danced, they came out fly, and you created that space. So it's like a lot of us are sad that it's going away. So what can you say to those people that are kind of sad that there's no more Bronx Night Market, there's no more Uptown Night Market? Why? Why is it going away?
Damn. You kind of put me on the spot right there, but like, let's do it.
We have to ask the question, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I love the Uptown Night Market. It's 5 years strong, right? Beautiful thing. Like, a lot of people thought it might have been Colombia. Like, what? You just done with it? You just on to the next?
Well, here's the thing, first of all, about Colombia, I want to say that Colombia has been really supportive actually in that thing. I was kind of a little bit upset when people kind of jump on them because it's kind of like
Right.
they've been very, very supportive. When we were considering doing the weekly, they gave us the space, they gave us like some support. They really kind of helped us with everything like that. It's not because of that, I realized, like over the last 5 years, we created something that is like incredible. I want to say to you, like, I've done like all the night markets and whatnot. This is the one that I'm most proud of and most connected to because it was a team effort, first of all, but also the way that it's connected. Everything, sometimes there's like a space and time that is so special and so unique that a spark just kind of lit. And this is what it was. It was like the perfect storm, and we created that. And you remember, because we started the Uptown Night Market with like a delayed event. We had like rain out, we got flooded, and we had to cancel. And then we came back the next month, and I lost money. Like I lost like $30,000 on the first one, and then I brought all the vendor back, no fees, no nothing like that, because we were going to do that. And you know what? In a way, started off like limping, came out to be like the most
juggernaut,
incredible kind of experience. Opened so many doors for us. What we realized over the last couple of years, there's a rule. I have this tattoo of like evolution on my arm. I have a lot of tattoos, but this one, and I always kind of remember, like, if you don't evolve, you dissolve. That's kind of my focus in life. And I think like we want to kind of get to the next rendition, and in Harlem. So we've been working on some stuff that's going to be like more like semi-permanent, something to take the kind of experience that we're doing and bring it into like a different place, because it takes a lot of work to do what we do. We work all month to get to that one day. You in the business, you in the NOAA, you've been partnered with so many organizers. You organize stuff yourself. So many things has to happen, and so many things have to kind of come together. While we love it, we still have to kind of deal with like a lot of the stuff. The city and the permits and this and that, and like and we appreciate that, but we also want something that is going to be one. We want to advance the platform. Remember, I was one of the first one in the city. Like there was Queens Night Market, and then came Marco Shalma, and we kind of helped turn the city into something. Now, if you look on the calendar in the city, there's a lot of events in the city.
Right.
When we started, there wasn't a lot of it. There was like 5 events going on in the city. So you have to understand also the market and understand that there's a demand for something else. Like there's a saturation of this kind of type of things, no matter how busy it is, still, because we're still busy, but then we want to do something else. We want to elevate that. We want to take it to the next level. We want to support the community. We want to increase like the whatever we did in the micro, we want to get it to the next level. So for me, it is like the natural place. I learned in my life, in my business life, I learned like it's better, live before it dies. You know what I mean? Right now, we're going to live, and everybody's going to speak about the Uptown Night Market for the next 3 to 4 years. And every time they're going to remember the party on 12th Avenue, it's going to be such a sweet memory. And on to the next thing. We're not abandoning in Harlem and Uptown. We here. We're not going nowhere. We're just going to bring the next thing. And the next thing that's going to lead New York City in innovation, in focus, in aesthetic, and everything like that. Because once we did that, we cracked the code on this kind of type of things. Now it's time to kind of lead the rest of the city, the state, and the country with the next adventure. And
you didn't just crack the code. I mean, I think that one of the things that's so cool, you bring life, or you don't bring life. That's not the right thing. You're the proof of life to folks that don't believe that there is life, that there's like commerce, that there is a thirst for this type of event in our communities. Remember, this is the vision of what most of the world thinks of that place underneath of the bridge where you do your Uptown Night Market is from Bonfire of the Vanities. That's where they got lost, and there was like the barrels burning, and people are still stuck on that image of Uptown. But Uptown is vibrant.
Octavio, but it's also in Juice, in the movie Juice.
Sure,
that's what Tupac, the end of Juice. That's what Tupac, gets killed. So
right. So there's this vision about this Uptown that's like grimy and there's griminess and all that good stuff, but there's life here. And you had the guts to say to the market, I'm here, bring your dollars, bring your bodies, bring your soul, bring your appetite, and come and join us. So I trust that you're not going anywhere, but I really, really want to know what's next Uptown. And for the fact of the matter is, one of the things about Uptown and Manhattan in general is that we have a space issue, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
where do you find the kind of spaces and the kind of places where you can have the kind of vision and bring that vision to life? Because you are a visionary.
Yeah. First of all, I appreciate that. Everything you say is correct because it takes me back to the beginning doing this in the Bronx. And one of the reasons we started that in the Bronx almost like a decade ago was because two things. One, small businesses from Uptown, Harlem, and the Bronx would not be accepted to the Queens Night Market and to Smorgasburg and to the other thing. You know, there's been like such a hierarchy over there and look down on our people when they do stuff. Two, people will not come from those areas to celebrate anything with us because we are, you know, we're not bougie or stuff like that. We created the Bronx Night Market and then we ran with that and we were able to get a lot of local people to start small businesses, you know, like, and I'm talking about stories that I can tell you like for hours about people that saw us and then went and bought a George Foreman grill and came in and worked. And then a couple of years later, like, you know, like they have like a restaurant or multiple restaurants or sell stuff in Whole Foods. But also the idea of like, they were able to be accepted now. All the vendors are getting accepted to Smorgasburg and Queens Night Market and this. Why? Because like they learned that there's no difference. You know, they kind of learn. For a while, they led and Octavio, like it felt a little bit like that because we were like almost like the jumping starting point for a lot of vendors. They will come, they will start with us on a low level. We will work with them for 2 years or something, and then they will go into like other markets, you know, which for me it was like my team would kind of get upset. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is our purpose. This is what we do.
Right.
If God put us over here to help to be a stepping stone to businesses that's the role that we're gonna do because like these communities were not allowed. Our community were not allowed down there to do the business. We're not accepted over there. And then there's the element that was in the Bronx, and then we went to Harlem, and it's continued like that. But then it was something different. Now it was like bringing the rest of New York City to Harlem into nowhere land. You know, 12th Avenue because you know. Anybody that shows up in 12th Avenue on a second Thursday of the month is not there for the businesses or the restaurant. It's there for us. And they came by the thousand and the thousand everywhere, from Brooklyn, from Long Island, from Jersey, from Yonkers. They come over there and they celebrate with us because that's the best party in the city. Thursday, second Thursday of the month.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly it. You created the best event, the monthly event, you know, Uptown for the last 5 years in a row. You know what I mean? So it's going to be missed. And is DJ Cozy going to be involved with any of them? Because DJ Cozy used to rock that crowd. DJ Cozy was amazing.
I called him yesterday. I said, like, listen, I got 2 more events before this. If you're not going to show your ass over here, you and I cannot walk in Harlem no more.
Yeah.
Listen, next 2 events, September 11th and then October 9th, are going to be stacked up. Nice. I'm going to say to you right now, like, you know, we're also having something else a little bit. It's a little surprise. We're also coming back on October 30th for like doing Halloween party at the same time. So we're going to do like a big Thursday, Halloween, October 30th Halloween party at, you know, under the bridge. So that will be like the finale, you know, but we'll dress it up a little bit. And that one is going to be a little bit of a sign of what we are planning to do. Like that. This is, you know, we're wrapping up on October 9th, but then October 30th, we're coming back and we're going to give a little taste of what's coming. And that, you know, it's going to drive a lot of people crazy. You know, it's going to be fun.
Nice. So it's not farewell. It's just, we'll be back.
It's always will be back. You know, like I like to challenge myself and my team. You know, I like to lead. I like to innovate. You know, I think we did it good. We got a good handle on like the night market scene. You know, we opened the door for a lot of other organizers. We opened the door for a lot of artists, whether it's like visual or musician. You know, you guys know already how many musicians started with us and how many small businesses started with us and even visual artists. You know, it's been such a like launching pad for like so many people, and it's great, and we got it down. I think like right now it's for us to take it to the next level of sale of that, because the game is also like, how can we feel satisfied ourselves? How can we kind of do some more? How can we gonna increase more visibility? There's a lot of stuff happening in Uptown right now. There's a whole revolution happening in Harlem. Anywhere from Harlem to Washington Heights, Uptown, entire Uptown is an experience. I don't want to say renaissance because it's been used too many times. They're not really in the greatest context in the world. But, what you guys are doing, Led, what you guys are doing in the Heights, and what's coming up from Harlem, it's just making Uptown the coolest, the most dominant area in New York City.
I agree.
And that's what we want to put. We're talking about bringing, we're working right now to bring Uptown Oktoberfest, and owning Oktoberfest in New York City, because, and combining 300 different businesses into the biggest happy hour series of event throughout Oktoberfest. We're talking about stuff like that. We're talking about stuff that's going to change the map. They're going to change everything that's happening. And with good partners like the congressman and local businesses and whatnot, we'll get it done. And this is it. I don't remember going below 96 for a while now.
For real.
Is there
Why?
anything?
Why? Well, that didn't exist. I don't even know what that is.
I think what's cool, you said, is there's nothing there. You know what it is that unfortunately, New York City, there's not a lot of people that live down there, at least not a lot of people. There are a lot of rich people who are living all over the world, global community, but they're not people living there. There's not like local community the way that Harlem, Washington Heights, and Inwood has local community. People actually living here, people actually looking to improve their neighborhoods and do stuff that's nearby. And they don't want to be going after the pandemic. We don't want to get on the subway anymore. We want to do our stuff where we live. We want to have our stuff where we live. One of the things that you were saying that really sparked my imagination was, that you wanted to have a big event. And I just started imagining like the Jacob Javits Center, kind of situation where it's huge and it's vibrant and it's exciting. But one of the things that like I was thinking was you might be the conduit for like the next huge Hispanic brand to hit the scene. I don't know about the folks that have gotten big names after being on your Uptown night market. Tell me, what's your favorite story of like a vendor or a performer or somebody who's come into your sphere and then left it like a changed business, like hitting it with all their pistons, charging.
Yeah, I mean, there quite a few of them, that we remember. There's one, there's empanada folks that kind of went on to revolutionize, like the way that empanadas are being eaten, like, kind of star in his own TV, like in TV shows on Food Network, and creating like this, like, he basically the guy who made the chopped cheese empanada and all that kind of stuff for that. We have a group that's three African brothers that did a burger, like a smash burger joint, and now they own like 4 burger restaurant and 3 chicken restaurant. We have a Dominican lady from the Heights, did like vegan food, who then went on to. I remember she came over there the first time. I swear to God, this is one of the stories, like, with the George Foreman grill, doing chimneys, and then like, later on, just like add like 3 restaurants, you know what I mean? And expanding. We have people that like now in the Whole Foods, and like in the frozen section in Whole Foods National,
Yeah.
And that's just like from the food kind of perspective. We're talking about artists, like it's still artists is still like that, but like the idea of like bringing like some top level kind of collaboration with like royalty, which is like Latino group that he's from the Bronx and he's from the Heights, and they doing like killing it. Yeah, for me, like one of the memorable moments was like Led when we brought in Afro. I mean, I have never seen anybody tear it up like the way they did. That was like one of my favorite kind of situation that they did over there. I think like for us in overall is, I've seen over the last couple of years people that, that content creator, influencers that started off with like 5,000 and came working with us and now has millions of followers. I have specifically talking to two of them right now. Like I have millions of followers traveling the world because they started and they did content with us for a little bit.
Right.
You know, we have a bunch of artists that has shows in Harlem that moved over, that moved and start playing everywhere. Some of the jazz players that were starting with us on a small level kind of are getting booked everywhere in Harlem right now. And I'm like, sometimes looking and I'm like, what? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
it's so nice. Or like somebody told me like the other day, like, you know, oh man, I'm sorry, I'm booked somewhere else. You know, like he got booked in a place that I helped him get booked and now he can't even show for me because that, and I love it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
My goal is, you know, I always used to say, and that's not me saying that. Somebody said, like, my genius is helping other people find their genius. Somebody told me that in the beginning, some ex-girlfriend or something. She said to me, Marco, your genius is helping other people, you know, get to their genius. And I was younger, and I thought, like, that's such a genius to have. And then I realized, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to be like this businessman genius or media genius. And then I started thinking about it. And, you know, and honestly, I fell in love with that because there is the biggest genius, you know, helping people get and reach out their maximum or opening the door for them. If you look also in my Instagram right now, I'm starting this thing like for a while, and this is for fun. You know, it's called Expedite. I'm literally giving vendors and small businesses all the secret just here. You know, just like giving them like how to sell, what to sell, aesthetic, branding, all that stuff like that. It's just like, you know, here, take it. So we've seen people. I have friends of mine that I mentor right now that run you know, markets and festivals and all in events and all that stuff. We have people that like open like, you know, like studios or whatnot, a restaurant beyond that, you know, and we created like a little bit a group. Even people that work for us in operation, you know, like we invested in two people that work for us in order to create a company to rent out equipment to other events and stuff like that. It's you have to understand always, and the mention is like this, you know, we here, and especially in Uptown, we're here to build a big table. And then if the table is not big enough for everybody to sit, you break the table, you build a bigger one, because there's room for all of us, and we all need to support each other, especially in places that is harder, you know, historically, to break through, you know. And the reason to do this, you know, because I'll tell you this, and this is my biggest motivation over the last 10 years, is in the Bronx and in Harlem, create situations that up-and-coming business owners, up-and-coming artists, entrepreneurs, or whatnot, don't think that making it means that they have to leave their neighborhoods and their hometown, you know, because if you lose your best and your brightest every generation because they have no facility to kind of grow, then you're never going to grow as a community. You lose your brains, your top people, you know, and that's a good point. You don't want that situation because you want them to stay, you want them to develop, you want them to help innovate, you want them to hire more people, you want them to create opportunities, that's what you want. So in the Bronx and in Harlem, it's always been our goal, you know, open the door, let everybody come in and help them kind of do that. Because why? Because you're creating like a bigger platform for everybody to succeed. And, you know, thank God, you know, we do well. We do well because we do good.
I love that. Do well because do good. I love that.
Led, I think now it's time to take a short pause so that we can pay some of the bills.
You want to tell them a little about donations and how they could help the show?
Absolutely. We can't do this without contributions from our viewers. You're going to see a QR code which you can scan. You can make a contribution towards Uptown Voices. It's going to be helpful for us to elevate our production. We have dreams and aspirations of doing live shows. We have dreams and aspirations of being on location at our various cultural institutions, and we can't do that without contributions from viewers and listeners like you. And we also can't do that without our sponsors. And this season, we are lucky to have a great sponsor, 181 Cabrini. It's our neighborhood bistro. Both Led and I are just steps away from 181 Cabrini, and we love it. 181 Cabrini is located right there on that corner of 181 and Cabrini, just steps
181 and Cabrini.
Just steps away from the bridge. So yeah, I love it. Led, you and I were there the other night.
Yeah, and we also met there for the first time. You and I, the first time we met, we had like lunch there, and it's my local bar now. Like since I live, you and I both live like right around. It's my local bar. I spend a lot of times there. James Lee, the owner, is just an incredible restaurateur. Right, I think he's a great guy. He's super funny, but like the food is on point. Please hit up 181 Cabrini. It is really one of my favorite spots. 181 Cabrini, pull up. That's my spot. Show them love and tip well.
And order the nachos. Those are on point.
The sangria is amazing. Everything in there. Oh, you have to try the coconut bread pudding. They got coconut, they got chocolate, and now they got banana, but the coconut, outstanding. So like I said, it's the attention to detail for me. It's a great neighborhood joint. Thank you to James and 181 Cabrini for sponsoring this episode. And, if you want to sponsor, holla at my boy. You know what I mean? Let's make it happen. You know what I mean? But yeah, without further ado, though, let's get to it.
But before we do that, I just want to say one thing. We're going to have a redemption code at the end of this episode, which you can bring to 181 Cabrini for a special treat.
Let's go. And I wanted to give an example of someone that kind of blew up. And I saw them first at the Uptown Night Market was Harlem Seafood Soul.
Oh, yeah.
Harlem Seafood Soul really blew up. They were on the High and the Horde. They've been everywhere now. They're everywhere. Yeah. And I first saw them at their performance-wise, the tap dancer Omar Edwards. I remember just watching him perform there, and I'm like, I've never seen anyone do tap like that in my life. Like I've never seen that.
In a market
with Octavio, he had a band. He was doing tap, and he had a backing band, and he was jumping off of platforms and doing things with tap that I've never seen. Right, so that's something special, man. And those are moments I'll never forget. And another thing, when I say DJ Cozy is such a dope DJ because I seen him basically work a crowd he had everybody moving like, and he would start with reggae and then go to old school hip hop and then go to R&B and everyone singing and dancing. Those were special moments, man. So thank you, Marco. I really appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate you. And, everybody got to understand how important Led has been to this journey.
Thank you, brother.
Every time I have some questions or I need something like that, I always kind of consult with Led because, like, who knows Uptown more than Led Black? I mean, nobody knows Uptown more than that, connection or whatever. And you know what? I really appreciate that. I think, and this is something that I got to say, your love to Uptown and your big heart to, like, everything that's happening over here and supporting artists and businesses is infatuated, like like with the Latin Food Fest, one of the spaces I had to secure a secondary space in Dykeman, and and we were kind of like, because we were like on the fence, because I still want to come to Dykeman because honestly, like I have so much fun in Dykeman. This is like low key one of my favorite places in the city. Just to work with. The people to work with, the people to hang out with, and just like the vibe over there, it's
for real.
It's just magical. And we still want to do this event that's going to start from the plaza all the way to La Marina. I'm closing. Like it's either this year or this. It's happening, But the thing is, like you gave me a phone call about the Latin Film Fest. It was not even like you remember that. Not even. Bro, whatever you need, boom.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, no, we were sweet because we were September 21st. We're doing the block party, and he had that day locked already for that. You know what I mean? And Calixto was like, "Led," and I was like, "Let me talk to my brother." And Marco was like, "Yo, Led, whatever you need, let's work it out." And it worked out that we could do our thing there. But it was because of him, because this man always is a good brother.
It wouldn't, even if I started like that, it's never, because you know what? At the end of the day. It's the relationship, and we all see eye to eye. And what you guys are doing over there with the Latin Film Fest is incredible. It's just an institution already. I mean, this is something fantastic, something just to look at and to learn from. Because here's what it is, and this is why I love what you guys are doing as well, because it's the standard that you are defining. It's not like, oh yeah, we're just gonna do something that we know, and this is not a dig. We know that we can get away with a lot of things uptown in the Bronx. We can get away with a lot of things. And a lot of people think they can get away with that. But at the end of the day, when you create standards, people show up because they want that. They want to feel elevated. Our community wants to feel appreciated, considered, elevated. Yes, we all like a good like block party. We all like a good like chill zone or whatnot. But The real respect is by like doing stuff that you would do downtown, uptown, in that standard, and you guys setting the standard. I mean, like I've seen what you guys do and how you do it. Anything from marketing to promotion to organization to the structure. And this is how it should be. You know what I mean? We got to bring that standard, and because our people know how to do this, and they know how to do it better than anybody. Because guess who's working downtown as the food people?
Right.
Is our people.
Right. Yep.
They're running all the real, like, the soldiers that running around and making everything happen. So like bring that energy over here and into subject that matters to us, into experiences to that. Without getting too political, because it's not my thing. But I love what you guys are doing, man.
You got it, brother. And let me ask you a question, because it's like with the New York Latino Film Festival, I like the fact that I'm just a member of the team, right? And I'm just working, but it's a big team effort, and you run a big team. Like, what are some insights that you could give us, like, about what that takes, right? Because it's tough running a team. I like sometimes, with Uptown Collective, I do everything. With Nylif, with New York Latino Film Festival, I'm just the cog in the wheel, and I like that too. How is it that you manage these complex organizations? Because that's what they are.
I will tell you what I tell everybody when they talk to me about a team. Don't have one. That's the first thing. It's not. Listen, you have to be when you're running a team, especially like when you're still kind of like fighting out to kind of grow. You are the psychiatrist. You are the brother, the sister, the mother, the father, the uncle, the cousin. You are the bank. You everything. And you gotta switch personality. You gotta switch the hats with everybody, and you gotta put personalities. But this is something that we've done in the past 10 years, the idea of creating a system. What helped me succeed in my businesses and in my adventures is the fact that I do not give any discount about the way that we do things and communicate. We create structures that I hold everybody to the highest standard in those structures. Yes, we have a large team, but we have proper meeting. First of all, you pay people right, and then you have proper meeting, you have proper communication, checks and balances for everything, responsibility and accountability. The biggest thing that I keep teaching my team is like accountability and responsibility. It's always your fault. Everything is my responsibility, same like with everybody else. You take responsibility, you own to that, and that's how we fix it. It's not about blaming anybody. It's about fixing things and learning from them, right? The idea of like the main key that I always say is like follow up and follow through. That's like those two. If I had to distill my entire business career into two terms, is we follow up and follow through. You know how many times I heard from people is like, bro, you know what? We weren't gonna do something, but you're relentless. So that's okay. Let's. You know what I mean? It's just that you know what it is. People say that bigger people say that before me. It's like the difference between a success and successful man and a successful businessman and a not successful is that extra couple times that successful man tried. It's the same two people, just the one that succeeded try that one extra time or two extra time. So for me, it's like it is what it is. It's like that. It's that relentless attitude. Follow up, follow through every day, man. If I send you an email, I'm following up on that email. I'm following up on the follow-up. I'm following up on the follow-up of the follow-up. Why? Because eventually you see I'm serious, you'll be serious with me. And my team see that, like I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, not because, like those, like all those TikTok influencers wake up, drink the water. I wake up because it's my only quiet time of the day. After 8 o'clock in the morning, it's just email, phone calls, Asana, pinging, all that kind of WhatsApp. We have like, you don't even know how many communication channels we have. So between 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 p.m. I belong to them. 4 o'clock to like 8 o'clock is the only time that I got for me to kind of really do my work, my thinking, all that stuff. So that's why I do that. Trust me, I want to sleep till 9, if I could, but you build a good team that knows what they do. And it's true. You're only as good as your team. My team right now can run operation almost without me. At this point, this is the pinnacle right now. I'm the salesperson. All I do is sell sponsorship and come up with ideas of what to do, and then navigate the boards when they need to. And it's a lot of work, man. It's nonstop.
Well,
it feels like a therapy session right now.
Go ahead, Led.
And I want to say, like, community, small business is so important to you, right? Like everything you do. Why is that? Why is it like you care? Why? Because a lot of people don't care. Why does it matter to you?
I care because I came to this country 20 years ago, and this country welcomed me and helped me come, and become a citizen. and the community around me, helped me do that. And I want to give back because, like after wandering different countries around the world, this is like a place where you feel like home. And when you feel like home somewhere, you want to make sure that it stays good and you can contribute back to what it is. And I come from a weird background where I didn't get much opportunities, and people like me did not get much opportunities. And it's always look at me because, look at him, he's got tattoos and he's got this and he's got this one, and and the way he talks and he's big and he's that. And I feel like I'm always fighting for the underdogs in this world, and so I'll hire the people that like the underdog, with a good heart and a good intention, and I'll teach them how to do whatever it is, and it works with the community sense, you know what I mean? Listen, I wish I could do more, I'm on four different boards, helping with the community and different things, from art to like, NYC for youth, like, helping youth kind of when it comes to financials and different kind of organization. But the key is for me, what I learned is to help people succeed with the money situation, help people kind of create like those opportunities for them, help people get to that place where, like we said before, when they can create a viable business that then they can kind of and support themselves and then bring other people to the mix. Now you've succeeded doing something. And the community is great. You know what I mean? Listen, there's like anywhere else, sometimes there's a lot of in the community. We're not going to lie to you about that one. You know what I mean? Because like sometimes in communities, especially like ours, in the Bronx and Uptown, it's a lot of opinions, a lot of opinions. But you navigate through that because for me, the focus is never about ego, never about it's always about getting the job done. You know what I mean? Like we focus in, like I've had people that hate me along the way. I've had people that love me along the way. I don't, those who hate me, they don't bother me. Those who love me, they don't sway me. At the end of the day, I'm just focusing on taking care of my small community, which is my business, and my bigger community, which is the ground where I live, and that's focused like that. So, I don't sway either way like that. And then my team does the same, they follow suit, man.
That's awesome.
So, Marco, you talked about a little bit about your background, but tell us, I want to know who Marco is. I know Marco the businessman. He's awesome. I love Marco the businessman, but I want to know, where did that come from? You say you came here 24 years ago. Where were you before, and what was your background like?
I come from a diverse background. I have a Moroccan Jewish mom and an Italian dad. Traveled around the world, been a lot of places. Spent a lot of time in Africa, in Europe, South America. For me, the real growth in my life has been when I settled in New York City. I remember like I came into New York and I was in Brooklyn for a couple of weeks, and then I came to Harlem. My first apartment was in a St. Nicholas, 136 in St. Nick over there. Talk about cultural shock. I didn't know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
I came over there, like I remember, I never forget it. I took the train up over there. It was a Sunday evening, and there was like dining room tables outside on the sidewalk. And people were having like, eating. It was in the summer. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like that. You know what I mean? But it felt like so nice and easy, And it felt like, it was loud, kind of like remind me of like my Middle Eastern, Moroccan, and North African family. And he was just kind of laughing and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I traveled the world for a long time. I did a lot of stuff, but never felt like I could sit down for too long. And New York made me like say like, listen, this massive city will humble you right away, and it will put you to work, And it took me a few minutes as well to kind of get my bearing. You gotta learn the language better. You gotta understand the customs. You gotta understand the people. You understand everything. And then slowly you do that, hard work, man, focus. At the end of the day, like as an immigrant, this is why I'm so connected to my immigrant demographic and community, because it's like, I know what it's like to come over here and start from nothing, like working 7 days a week for like $300 a week, like that. And somebody is taking advantage of you in the beginning, no doubt about that, you know what I mean? But then you make choices, you focus on some stuff, and then you create opportunity. So that's why I'm always going to support somebody who wants to take their future in their hand and open opportunity, no matter how much. even in the hustle, it's kind of funny. Like, when we talk about hustle, we have, we have this whole, like, in Uptown, it's all over the city, but we have the nutcrackers, right? This is a thing that's happening, it's like, so they come and to the night markets anywhere and they sell their stuff. Now they don't understand that they risk a permit because the city is basically doesn't want that kind of happen. So basically, like, they being there saying, "Uncle, risk our permit," and more time than I can count, we had people just getting sick of that cheap alcohol and ending up going on an ambulance. So it's a bad look for us. It's liability for the insurance and all that stuff. Like that. But at the same time, come on, I appreciate the hustle.
Right,
like, somebody wakes up in the middle of the night, go to his like bathtub, fill it up with like some grain alcohol and like this, and start getting his own label and sticker.
Right.
You know what I mean? You gotta appreciate the hustle.
You can't knock the hustle.
The hustler in me appreciate that. The business owner in me, they say, "Come on, man," and they always come to me lovingly because even when I kick them out and I chase them out, they never get mad because they understand. They're like, I'm just doing what it is to protect my business and my community.
Right.
Because I'm like, yeah, man, listen, I appreciate the hustle. Just be outside the line over here. I don't want 100 people to lose the opportunity to make money because the city doesn't have good understanding of how to deal with y'all. You know what I mean?
Right. For sure.
You got to respect the hustle, man.
So, Marco, I'm going to come back to the fact that we want the Uptown night market back. We don't want it to go away. So what if somebody, let's say a listener, business person comes up to you and says, "Marco, I want to license your Uptown market. I'll license you. You tell me the plan. You can have oversight and I'll do it. And I'll pay you for that." Is that a business that you'd be like interested in?
The ego of me says like, well, you can license the business, but you can't license the vibe that I brought over there. That's the ego in me. And the businessman is me and say like, well, what are you going to license? There's nothing over the proprietary because it's just like, something you just do what other people do, but maybe slightly better or understand a little bit like, like element. I think it's like, it's like, it's not even about that. If somebody comes out and says, "Save your money, I'll give you the tips on how to do it yourself and do it," You know how many times people come to me and they don't believe, like they ask me like, "Wait, how did you get the permit over here?" I say like, "Well, I'm in the middle of the event. I can't talk to you, but if you hit me up, I'll let you know exactly." I don't care, like I love competition, and I tell this to my vendors all the time, if they sometimes they say to me like, and I'll give you an example. They say to me like, well, there's another vendor selling the same thing over here. And I remind you, there's like 70, 80 vendors. The other one is like 2 city blocks away, And like, there's another vendor. I said, like, listen, if you're really that worried about him, you're in the wrong business because you're not selling, even if he's selling empanadas and I'm selling empanadas, I'm not really selling empanadas. I'm selling the experience of Marco's empanadas. You know what I mean? And he doesn't have that. He has his own thing like that. So, so when somebody is like, I'm willing to give people, and now we've given people the opportunity. There's a lady in the Bronx, that she came to us and she learned and we taught her everything we know and kind of really helped her out. I even made the sign for her. She opened her own, the Bronx Vegan Bazaar, right? You know that girl, Dominican lady, right? And I made the sign. We did the graphic. We bought the sign and paid for it. We helped her set up the first time. We got the banners. We got the stepping. The whole thing. We helped her like do that. And then we sent her off like on her way like that. Now people don't understand that. It's like, what are you doing? You're just like creating a competition. I said like, it's not, she's going to do her own thing and she's going to, I hope she does well. It's my job to do my own thing and find a way to innovate, to be effective, to be great, to support, to have customer service, to be marketing. It's my job. It's my business to do that. That's why it's like, anybody who comes to me and says like, "Yo, I want to license that," I tell them, "You're a fool, man. You can get it for free, but can you really do it? You know what I mean? That's the thing.
And what I want to ask too is, how did you come up with the idea of night markets? Like, how do you say, this is how I'm going to change the game? Like, how did that come about?
Man, I got to tell you that you getting me good right now because I want to give some story that people don't even know. You know that I've never been in a food festival until I ran a food festival for 3 years. Only on the 3rd year, I went first time to other food festival. After 3 years. I've never been before, but I had a vision of what that can look like and what it needs to do. That the only thing that I knew for myself is like some aesthetic and how to make noise. You know, we know how to do noise marketing stuff like that, and we learned everything the hard way. If I can tell you the amount of mistake that I did because my stupid ass did not just go and do a proper research where it could have done, you know, but like I can't even imagine. Sometimes I think back and I say like, damn it, you know, like you really not about the money, bro, you know, because if you wanted to, but it was intuitive, you know, and it came from a different place. It came from a place like I want to tell you that we the first one who blew up certain kind of style of marketing and social media, and then everybody started copying us. We the first one who started applying the idea of like creating like group chats, multiple group chats to promote and stuff like that, and then people came and used that thing. We started like so many things we've done ahead of people just because we tried so many things, and you know, and for me it's always try. Sometimes my team will tell me like, God damn it, man, we changing direction again. And I'm like, you know, listen, churches, I'm fluid. I'm like water. When the fact change, I change my mind. I don't care. Like if you know, and this is like the thing. If you ask me about the team, you know, and I'm a little bit all over the place, but the best accomplishment I was able to teach my team to be not to be rigid, to be flexible to changes. We literally we launched an event and killed it in the same 24 hours and then brought it back again, like completely revised like that, because we figured out after launch it was a mistake, you know? So it's that flexibility that we created, you know, that's what really like I think is the biggest accomplishment to date. But, you know, but when I saw and I wanted, the vision was to create a place where people can feel comfortable, you know, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, and especially Uptown, you know, especially in the Bronx. We wanted to create an environment that it was like, it feels so authentically us. It's a little elevated when it comes to like the standard of operation and the branding, but still approachable. That is going to feel. When people ask me what is this event, I'm saying like we just a slightly more aesthetic block party, you know,
Right.
and organized, you know, and sometimes I have a team member. She's fantastic. She's a producer for us, and she's like, man, they don't realize, you know, when he gets busy, they don't realize how much hard work goes into making that like that. I said, like, this is how you know we are successful, because we make it look so easy. People sometimes come in and think like, what is this? Like, I can just bring a bunch of tents and organize that thing. And it's going to be the same. It's not. It's not. We make it look easy because there's systems. We have spreadsheets, and we have like a project management tool, and we have like group chats, and we have multiple meetings every day, and we have like, you know, we have SOPs, and we have like, you know, we have database, and we follow up with people, emails and then DM and then text messages and then get them on a phone call, and then, you know, and so there's so many processes to make something feel seamless that's the biggest compliment when they come over and they feel like everything is just like, it's so easy. I could have done it myself. First of all, no, you cannot. No. You know, no, you know, no. But and two, thank you. You know what I mean? Because that's a testament. The fact that like it feels seamless in the back. You know, I said it the other day. Being a small business owner, half of it is like coming up with solution on the minute because everything goes wrong. This is half of the gig is like really just fixing trouble as they go because everything breaks down. And the other half is acting like it was all planned all the time. That's really like, you know, that's the side of the entrepreneur. That's it, you know?
I mean, look, when you were telling us about the first one that got not just rained out, but flooded and canceled, tell me, I want to hear that story. Like, you must have been bricks. You must have been so, I mean, crestfallen. Like, that must have been like a horrible thing. But you said, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come back. I want to hear like what was going on. Like, what was the story? What's the story behind that? Because I don't know if many people would have been able to survive that have happened. So tell me, give us a little bit more of the play-by-play of that one.
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, I'll tell you this, it just remind me. I'll swing back and I'll come around. There are two moments in my Uptown career that made me, I would say, like kind of like a little legend, right? The first one was opening date. It was July 8th, and that was like the first time we did. We prepared for that for 3 months. We opened. We refused to shut down, even when there was like warning, like water, blah blah blah. There's going to be like some rain and all that kind of stuff. We got there. We set up all the tent. We set up. We put up the big stage, everything like that. And then it just opened up. And we were, at that time, we were still thinking about doing the up the hill over there, from 135 to 138. And it opened up so badly. And SCP, the pipes, the sewers got stuck immediately. The water came up all the way to my knees. I got a picture. I'll show you my knee. Now, tents are caving, falling down, breaking down because of the heavy water. And it feels like that was remember that big flood that just kind of completely annihilated New York a couple years ago, like 2020 or something? We knew right away. That's it, because we thought maybe it's going to pass or whatnot. It's not going to be so bad. Oh, it was bad. Water came up. And I said it makes me a legend is because everybody, I'm looking at everybody. My team is hiding, from the rain. Vendors are moving to the side, hiding under the only tents that are still available, like, not broken down. Water is gushing everywhere, up to my knee. And I remember like this, the only thing that went in my mind, Marco, all eyes on you. You're walking up and down the middle so they can see you, and you're looking at them in the eyes and let them know, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. And I walk up and down, they're all up and down to 138 from 135, like multiple times. And I'm looking, and I feel people's eyes burning through me, and everybody's looking at you, just laser beam. And I'm like standing tall, and like, it's okay, we'll get them next time. Yo, that moment made me a legend, because I kept hearing till today. I keep hearing about that time when my vendors come to me and says that you did not hide. Not only you did not hide, you walked in there so we can see, and that immediately kind of puts us in a different situation. That was the first moment made me a legend. Second moment is the night where Led and I did that. The Latin Food Fest, that Latin night market in Dykeman, the first one. And I walked over them, and all the beautiful Dominican ladies are washing their eyes looking at me. And I go down from the stage, and that's the second day it made me a legend, bro.
That's
Those
hilarious.
are moments, like, that moment, like, getting off the stage over there and walking through the space back to the other side to the thing. And literally, like, everybody stopping me over there and talking and thank you for bringing it and, like, whatnot. And, everybody rolling their eyes at me and stuff. I mean, like, I felt like, those are the two first completely different scenarios, but at the end of the day, it's just like made me feel good about like, hey, you know what? You're in the right place, you're in the right time, doing the right thing. So you're good.
And it's funny because that very first one on Dykeman, it was very ambitious too. Like it was, you went from Quisqueya Plaza almost to La Marina. You had the two stages. Yeah. It was pretty amazing. It was 10,000 people. Something came out that
yeah,
night.
It was insane. 10,000 people, two stages. Like we took 3 streets. That was the first time when I did the city called me to do like a walkthrough, and I showed up to the walkthrough, and it was like 30 different people from like at least 20 agencies. I'm like, damn it, what did I put myself into? And I've never ran into so many of that because literally everybody showed up. And there was a lot of challenges, but, everybody was like eminent, and the congressman was like really supportive of that to kind of make it happen, so, and the DOT commissioner, Adonis was, everybody was like really super supportive of like making it happen. They were, everybody's just concerned, but in the end of the day, they see our event, is like, it's family, it's friend, it's food, it's chill. Nobody comes over there to look for trouble. Knock on wood, 5 years, we never had any problem, any complaint, any situation, and we're going to keep it like that because we send a different message. We send a message of togetherness, of support, of respect, because this is what I told you. It's not like we coming over here and bringing some downtown into like Uptown. We're doing something that is like to the core, something that belongs, something that is respectful for the community and help them kind of this. Remember, like sometimes you work with people to connect with what they think they are in the experience. And I think this is what happened in Uptown High Market, because we all feel that we are that, the center of the party or in the universe or whatnot, and we did that. So it's kind of connected to that, to the community, because like this is how we see ourselves. We see ourselves as the best party in New York City, and that's what we did. So that's cognitive situation when we combine between how we see ourselves to how we are. That's that little sweet spot,
Yeah, and I could definitely attest to that. There's never I've never gone to Uptown Night Market and have any even semblance of beef or nonsense and it was all of Harlem, all of Uptown. Everyone was there, and there was no problems. So let's go. So let's right now, just to recap, there's only 2 left of the Uptown Night Markets, right? 9/11 and 10/9, correct? And then a special 9/30 Halloween thing.
I gave you the scoop right over here.
We got the scoop. We got the scoop.
You're the first one hearing that. Not even the vendors know about it right now, because we're starting the process right now with this.
Nice.
We wanted to do something like that. I've been having, what I had a vision for a long time. You're gonna laugh, but I'm crazy like that. It's I have a vision of creating a series that's called The Night Before the Night. And the whole thing is the night before the night. What's the best night, of the year to go out? The night before Thanksgiving. And I always get drunk the night before my birthday. I don't even get to my birthday because I'm dead. The night before Christmas, the night before Halloween. So I always find a way that I always get a little bit more party fun the night before the big event comes over there, So I'm always in my mind, I want to call it the night before the night and just run with it. All those big nights in the year that we're going to have in the calendar, we're going to do one day before that thing.
That's hilarious.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yo, Marco, that is you're a genius. You got that. Bring that to life is wonderful, and it's so amazing to hear you talk about. Well, first of all, I think the authenticity of what you bring, I think, is clear. Yes, it's elevated, but it's authentic to what our highest ambitions are, to what our ideals are. So that's good. It's elevated, but it's authentic. And the other thing that I think is so wonderful that you bring and that's really tough for communities with short resources, is this idea of abundance, of collaboration.
Yeah.
Competition, but not don't be crazy. There's another empanada person 2 blocks away. That's just another business. Deal with it. Yeah. That to me seems kind of the biggest challenge in our communities, is to look at things from the view of abundance and not looking at things like crabs in a bucket, right? Everybody talks about crabs in a bucket. We are accused of being crabs in a bucket in the Latinos because it's competitive. It's a zero-sum game. If you get something, I'm not getting something. But that's not what you're bringing to the table. So where does that come from? How do you turn people's minds that way?
It's a great question. I think for me it was always my disadvantages growing up, being categorized, on the wrong side of the town, and being always looked at because, overlooked in different scenarios in high school, schools, whatever, that army, because where you come from, not because of merit or what you are, kind of got me into the place where later on I came in on a defensive mode, and I think one point I learned that I don't care anymore. I am going to focus only on stuff that matters. So when you're talking about that situation, I agree with you. There is an element, but you can't, you can't fight against it in a way, because people are reacting to their experience, right? People are reacting to their experience, what they bring from home. But the idea is, it is important to show and to showcase that, hey, listen, we don't have to think like that. We can just focus on growth. We can focus on accomplishment. We can focus on we can challenge ourselves, and this is what I'm showing throughout this process and talking to you guys is challenging myself. And I'm only in competition with me from yesterday, and that's kind of something like that, and listen, I get so many personality. damn it, like we deal with a lot of personalities. And I'll tell you something, like one day I'm the hero and the other day I'm the villain. It's just kind of that. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I can look at the other guy and say like, hey, listen, they're doing better than me on that one, and what am I doing? I'm doing the best I can with the resources I have. Am I doing the best I can in the resources that I have? Because if I am doing the best I can with the resources I have, then I'm doing a great freaking job. You know what I mean? And that's it. That's the thing. And all you got to remember, and everybody that I talk to, like people that I mentor and whatnot, is just your war is against yourself. Your battle is against you from yesterday. You got to be better than that guy from you from yesterday. And that's how you do. Because it doesn't matter. And I told you before, it's like, you know what your unique self spot. You know what your advantage is. Yes, we're not like downtown, because they got more money to do like branded tents and this and this. Like, no, but we got the heart. So we're going to fall hard on the hard aspect of that, and we changed food festivals in New York City with the level of like focus on the culture and the aesthetic. That was our angle. And listen to this. When I started, we couldn't get any sponsors to come to the Bronx and Harlem. Now we get more sponsors than downtown. Why? Because like we showed what we bring in consistently. So It's not about that. It's about what's your focus should be on what you're strong at and what you committed to. We knew the authenticity. We knew to like having a crowd, supporting the crowd in the best way possible and bringing them out there to celebrate. We also knew that like, listen, our demographic, when you talk about POCs, Uptown is the one that likes to enjoy themselves the most authentic. I go sometime now to events like downtown or Brooklyn or whatever. I feel like I'm in like a funeral or something like that. You don't get that.
It's fake.
You don't get that stuck up vibe over here, for good or better. I get somebody come to me and say like, hey man, you f***ed up last time. Oh, I can't something like, man, I love you. You guys are doing that. It's authentic. You learn from each one of them. So for me, it's like, everybody, and we say, focus on you. Focus on what you can do. That's the best you can do, is focus on what you can do better, and how you can do better from last time. Because when I started, we didn't have any resources, man, like nothing. And now we can brand. We buy like this, like, flags and all these accessories to make it nice and pretty. We didn't have that money in the beginning. It doesn't make us better now. It's just now we can afford that. But before, we made up for that by attitude, by favors, by getting different music, by hosting. Man, I've been walking around in those events, like, like what you call kissing babies, and, like taking pictures and kissing babies with everybody, like you see me in the event. I'm not standing outside. I'm up and down. I'm up and down, smiling to the vendors, talking to people, checking on them. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So Marco, September 13th and 14th, right? Latin Food Fest.
Hey.
When can we buy tickets? Are they on sale now? What's going on?
Tickets are on sale on latinfoodfest.com. The latinfoodfest.com. We have anything from like $15 to like VIP tickets, which is like all included, like at $75. I would recommend anybody who's watching this, check the Instagram. We come up with flash sales. Like last week, we had $5 sale tickets, all tickets like that. We also, I'm gonna bless you with another thing of that. We're about to hit with like one of our sponsors paid for 500 tickets, so we're about to hit with some free tickets.
What?
Yeah, one of
What's the Instagram? What Instagram should we be looking at?
Latin Food Fest USA.
Latin Food Fest USA. Perfect.
I had to get the USA because Miami, Philly, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Chicago.
It's national, and then maybe global. We might bring it to DR, right? You never know.
We had an opportunity last year to kind of take something to Puerto Rico, and this lady, fantastic. She came from Puerto Rico over here. She flew over because she saw us, and she was like talking to me, and and she was like DMing. And I said to her, listen, if you're around, come over here. I'll show you some stuff. She came over. She flew over. Serious, like a heart attack. And worked with me for like a month. And we showed her everything. But we showed her like the paperwork. And she said like, well, come and do this over there. I said, listen, I'm going to support you. I'm gonna give you advice, but here you go do your own thing.
Here's the blueprint. Here's the
Do
blueprint.
your own thing. Like I don't need more.
That's awesome.
I'm happy. I'm content. You do your own thing. And she's doing her own thing over there, and she like calls me like, thank you, and what do you think? What should I do? This and this, But DR sounds good,
Yeah, for sure.
And Marco,
so definitely,
Marco, and I've been looking at your IG where you're giving advice to people and their stands and their little stores. What's that IG? What's that special IG?
So that's my Marco Shalma Instagram. That like I get asked all the time, from vendors, from patrons, from sponsors, all these questions, about and then small businesses, and I told you like I work with a group of young folks, through a non-for-profit, and we advise them, especially like a group of like young, it's a non-for-profit that supports like folk, teens of color from Uptown, and the only thing that I really like about it is about financial responsibility, It teaches them how to use money and how to make money, how to invest money, how to like what to think about money. And I come into that perspective over there, and I wanna help with that, because like that's what's important to me as well. Like because that's financial, that generational wealth. That's like a start. So this IG, at one point I kind of broke, and about a couple months ago, one of my assistants, she kind of helped me. I said, let's do that, because every time I talk and I come out with those nuggets, and somebody asks me something and they hear, and I come out and I say like, yo, you should. I'm like, oh, fine. So the first 2 months I made video, and that is cringe, man. I look at myself and I want to die, like that. And then now I'm just comfortable with that. And people ask me questions and say like that. So I say, oh, okay, I'll make a video. And so we make a video, and it's just small little nuggets, like, do this, do that. And then we're giving away a few, like, I created this a spreadsheet with basically like how to do a budget, how to do food costs, how to do like certain analysis that people can use. Because I used to do that in my business, in my brick and mortar, in my restaurant back in the day. And I realized that people don't know how to do that. So like there's a lot of tools that I have. Just give them. Let people work. Let people learn. Because just because you got an IG, and call yourself CEO in the bio, it don't mean you got a business. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you need to know. Some of our folks over here need to understand. You need to understand the metrics of it. You understand your point of investment. You need to understand your food costs. You need to understand your COGS. You need to understand a lot of terms, and it's not just like those terms because of like, like whatever. You need to know, because I see so many, like the statistic is against you. Like 90% of small businesses close within the first, 3 years. Statistics is against you. The best way to do it is like learn those things. And this has always been my passion, supporting small businesses, because you know what? I had a lot of help when I started from different sources, and I think like this is my turn to give back. So that's what it is, giving back a little bit in an unfiltered way. I ain't going to change who I am. Baseball cap, chains, tattoos, swearing a lot. But you know what? People look beyond that now, and people understand the value and the merit behind that, and that people listen. And people also like to listen to somebody who's successful that look like them.
Right, that's doing it, right? And you're dropping wisdom. Like, there's things you can really learn, like actionable intelligence, man. So, that's really dope.
It's a blueprint. It's like real life experience. It's like, this is how we made it,
There's a lot of talkers out there that have never done anything, but you're actually a doer.
It's a lot of trial and error. I wish I would take some credit to myself, but I'm telling you like this, I'm dumb as nails, man. Like I made every mistake. Cause I'm stubborn. I've done every mistake in the book, and by the grace of God, I didn't fall on my face like a million times, just because I'm a donkey, right? But people don't have to be like that. That's the thing. Like if I go back 10, 15 years, man, I would change like a lot of things. But then again, I wouldn't have the Uptown High Market, for instance, because people told me don't do that. The Uptown High Market, they 3 years I was chasing. The guy who was the director for the WHDC before Ziad.
Mm-hmm.
I harassed him on the phone for 3 years. And he was like, yeah. Nothing. Ziad came and I came, and I was like, Let me try again. And I'm like, you know, I told you, follow up and follow through. I want to email again. I want to email again. I'm going to call. I'm going to email. Eventually, like Ziad came into the job, saw that thing, you know, and it clicked. 3 years later, you know,
Wow.
no. 3 years, no. 1 yes, let's go do it in 3 months. We open that thing, you know.
Amazing.
But it's that. Be persistent. Push forward. Believe in what you do. And when the opportunity comes, just jump on it, you know.
Love that. There's no better way
Inspirational.
to end it. That's perfect. That's perfect, brother. So thank you so much. I'm going to be at the Land Food Fest. Octavio, you going? We popping up and pulling up.
We're pulling up.
And any last words to the audience, brother?
Man, I just want to say I appreciate you guys. Thank you for inviting me. Always
Thank
fun
you,
to have
thank you.
a conversation. You know, you guys keep doing what you're doing. Keep sending that love to Uptown, you know, because Uptown is the next face of New York City. This is where it's at.
Facts.
I mean, you know it. I know it. This is everything changed. Downtown is Disneyland. 60 in New York City is only Uptown. Is above 110th Street, and you can see that thing to yourself, you know. And this is what we love about this, you know. And keep doing what you're doing, man. And I appreciate it. And make
Likewise,
sure you
brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of Uptown Voices, brought to you by 181 Cabrini, your neighborhood bistro just steps away from the North Walk of the George Washington Bridge. Use the code Uptown Voices Season 1 for your discount. And to stay up to date on the latest in Uptown, you can follow Uptown Collective on Instagram, Facebook, and X. If you're watching Uptown Voices on YouTube, don't forget to smash the subscribe button and to give us a like. And don't forget, we also need financial contributions from listeners like you to produce, improve, and expand our content. To contribute, please scan the QR code on the screen. Until next time, this has been Uptown Voices.